Hi you guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen Odd and these are Karen's Oddities. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Regardless, I do want to ask that you give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts below, even if you disagree with my content. Share this video with someone that you know and subscribe to my channel because I'm confident that there's something here that you will enjoy or that you can benefit from. Let's get into this video. So for this video, this is kind of like serving as a reminder that every single thing that you ignore, that you delay, and that you procrastinate on will eventually have to be addressed. No doubt about it. I don't know what exact law it is, but I would say it's probably the law of cause and effect, the laws of life. That's just the way the world works. That's the way the universe works. So when I give examples of things you delay, procrastinate on, don't act on, a simple example could be not cleaning up your leaves every year. So then your gutters get filled, your drainage gets filled in the street starts flooding. Eventually it needs to get addressed, right? Not checking your mail in your mailbox. Eventually the postal service is going to leave a notice on your door or mailbox saying that you have to clean out your mailbox in order to receive new mail. Ignoring a bill. Eventually it can go to collections. Your wages can be garnished. Your items can be repossessed. You can be foreclosed on your home and lose your property if it's weight. Eventually, everything reaches its point where it needs to be addressed, right? If you gain so much weight to the point where it starts impacting your health and it is medically unsound for you to continue in this way, eventually that needs to be addressed. So there are those situations that are very clear that eventually will become a larger issue. And there are some situations that you don't expect are going to come back to bite you in the behind, but they do. And I'm going to talk about, I'll talk about one situation just to keep the video short and to the point. So there's those situations that I mentioned that are very clear, right? If you're supposed to take a medication, you're not taking it, eventually that's going to impact your life. If you are always eating Oreos in the middle of the night, not brushing your teeth and going to sleep, eventually you're going to get cavities, eventually your teeth are going to decay, etc. There are those very clear, definite situations that we experience. And then there's some where it's like, well, I guess I could fix that, or I guess I could revisit that. I guess I could address that, but I could also just not do anything about it, right? Those like minor ones that are like, if this is the priority level, there are some that are right below the priority level surface, or maybe they're even lower, where they're not that important and they're not absolutely necessary technically to address or to respond to or deal with, but they will always come back. I truly believe they will always come back. In my last video that I uploaded, I talked a little bit about closure. If you haven't watched that video, I recommend you watch that video because it is tied to this as well, right? If you don't get closure for certain things or make an effort to close them on your end and share your piece, to apologize, to forgive people, to heal from situations, eventually those situations come back. And I'm going to give you the example that I mentioned that I wanted to reference that made me want to make this video. So my lease is up and is that where I should start? Yes, I'm going to start there. My lease is up and I have finally decided on what vehicle I'm going to go with, right? I'm joining the electronic vehicle crew, so I'm kind of nervous but kind of excited. I get my car later today. Super excited. Maybe I'll do a video about it. I don't know yet. Not the point. I've been shopping for vehicles since maybe July of 2023, a year out, because I know that if I'm going to get something customized, you have to order it. If it's coming from out of the country, it has to be custom ordered. It has to come in. It takes time to get vehicles, right? And I know there's like shortages and all these things, and I wanted to like anticipate what I wanted to do, shop around, take my time, test, just like a home, just like anything. When you're making a big purchase, you want to make sure that you take time to see different options. Let's not go down the rabbit hole. Anyway, there's a new vehicle that I want. I had test drove this vehicle back in, when was it? September, maybe? I think it was September. And I test drove a lot of vehicles, like I said. However, I had a friend of mine that connected me to this dealership. You know, I told them like, hey, I'm looking for a car. Like, this is what I'm considering. We talked about different vehicles. He was giving me ideas, and he's like, well, you know what? Let's go check out that car at this one dealership. I have a good friend of mine that's like the general manager for the dealership. It's a really big dealership. Let's go test drive. And I said, okay, let's do it. Because why not? Like, I want the help. I want the support. I want people that are more knowledgeable than me to give me or push me in one direction, help me see things that maybe I'm missing, because I want to make informed and wise decisions, especially when they're financial commitments of that magnitude. So we went to the dealership. This was, I want to say, maybe September, maybe very early October. He came with me. You know, I met his friend. We test drove some cars. I really liked the vehicle, but at that time it was like super expensive monthly. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this. My friend mentioned that I could use his I could use his discount. So there's different levels of discounts for different manufacturers, depending on if someone has retired from there, if someone currently works there, there's family and friends discount, etc. But regardless, it's a big discount because cars are expensive, especially new cars. So I said, oh, that'd be great, whatever. But at that time, like, the car was too expensive, so I wasn't going to do it. So I said, okay, thanks for the information. I kept in touch with the sales rep. The sales rep kept in touch with me. They'd send me updated numbers, but they were still super freaking expensive. Cars are expensive, y'all, especially if you want nice cars. But so that stayed there. I shopped around, went to different dealerships, checked for different vehicles, and fast forward a couple of months ago, the dealership that I just mentioned that we went to test drive cars reaches out to me and says, hey, I have some new numbers. Like, the numbers are super low. They were super low, like almost as low as they can get. And I'm like, I'm interested. And I said, you know, let's go. I want to test drive again just to make sure I still like it. And then I brought my boyfriend, which we became a couple in late October. It was on Halloween. So I brought him with me so that he could, you know, again, I think it's fun when you bring people when you're shopping for a home, when you're shopping for a car, etc. Not the point. So anyway, test drive the car. I decide, okay, I like it. I want to do this. The price is right, etc. We're moving forward. For me, for everything that I do, you can call it spiritual guidance, you can call it God. I'm looking for green light, yellow light, red light. If I keep getting green goes, like there are no hiccups or issues, then for me, that is God telling me this is okay, keep moving forward. If I get yellow, God's saying, hey, you need to consider this, that. If I get reds, like this is an issue in every step, like this is a challenge, then for me, that means God's saying this is not for you. Like, you need to stop or try once more. And if you get another red, this is the sign that I'm giving you. I look for signs and everything because I think that signs are the way that God / the universe communicates with us and helps keep us protected and helps keep us in line with our purpose in life. Not going to go down that rabbit hole. I've said this in previous videos. Not the point. Up until this point, we're having green lights. The price is right. They were pulling the vehicle that I wanted from another dealership. They couldn't get the color I wanted. I wanted white. There was one that's similar to my current car, which is like a white silver. I didn't want that again. I wanted white. But I said, these are my other options of colors. They were able to pull one. I said, I want to make sure you can get me out of my current lease and get me out of it clean. I don't want to have to pay anything additional. There were some issues with that because I was dealing with another dealership that wanted me to pay like $1,000 out of pocket to buy the car for me. This dealership that I'm going with, they said, I can get the car. We can pay it clean, etc. And I said, okay, that's my other green light. So yesterday, which is like, I'm getting the car today. Okay, I'm getting the car today. So yesterday, I get a text from the person that I'm working with at the dealership, and he says, hey, are you able to provide the pins, basically the pin information for the discount plan that we're going to be using? And then I said, well, I didn't say anything. I called him because I said, you know, I want to understand, like, what is the difference? Like, and he's like, well, the difference is only like $20. And I was like, okay, then if I don't have to get it, I'll be okay. But then he says, oh, excuse me. Then he says, oh, just kidding. In order for you to get this price, there's an incentive where you have to have that extra plan. And if you don't have it, you can't get the car. Well, let's get into the how situations come back. I'm going to bring this full circle. I know I got really deep in the weeds in terms of like my car buying process. However, the guy that I went to the dealership with in September to test drive this car initially, that introduced me to his friend that's a general manager for this dealership, that said, hey, I have a membership ID number that you can use, etc., for your plan. Still an amazing guy, phenomenal guy, great friends. Our work circles overlapped. We recently reconnected. We've hung out a couple of times. I don't know if you'd call them dates. I think we've gone on dates, but I was never intimate with him. We never kissed or made out. Like, it was just very, it was kind of like platonic friendship, right? Well, I decided when I connected and established a relationship with my current boyfriend, I decided there were probably certain connections that may not be appropriate for me to keep anymore, right? He and I had a conversation. We talked about, how do you feel about friends of the opposite sex? I gave my piece, he gave his piece, and then we both agreed that if it's like a connection where there was an existing relationship or history of sexual activity, or great or romantic interest, it's probably not appropriate to keep that friendship. That's me. That's him. You can come for me in the comments if you disagree. It's a good conversation piece. Like, when is it appropriate or necessary, or is it at all, to cut off previous friendships if there is a history, right? The question of, can you really be friend or just friends with an ex? Can men and women that may find each other attractive or have some level of attraction actually remain and be existing friends? Well, when I entered into my relationship, I decided to reach out to a couple of people that I was still in communication with that I felt the relationship was no longer appropriate. Doesn't necessarily mean they were my boyfriend, doesn't necessarily mean we dated, doesn't necessarily mean we made out, doesn't necessarily mean we slept together, but I knew or had an inclination that these connections were not appropriate because there were discussions of those things, there was interest from one side or the other of these things, and it wasn't clear to me what their motivation was for keeping the friendship. I didn't think the friendship was based on, I think you're a great human. I think it was based on, I think you're a great human and I'd love to date you and sleep with you. So those were the ones where I'm like, it doesn't really seem like it's good to keep these. So I sent a couple of messages out to some of those people. Jackson, come here. I sent a couple of messages out to some of those people, and I said, I just wanted to let you know I've entered a relationship, and out of respect for my relationship and partner, I don't think that we should stay in contact. I don't think we should connect or meet up. I hope that you understand. It's been really great getting to know you or having you around or having you as a friend. Wish you the best of luck or something like that. Just like a common parting message, which I don't think was rude. I don't think it was crazy or out of the ordinary. I wasn't saying anything out of the ordinary. I wasn't accusing anyone of anything. Well, point is, I sent one of those messages to the guy that I went to the dealership with in September that had the connection for me to get the discount for my car. So yesterday, I'm just like, when he says I need that to move forward, I'm like, what I did not want to do is I didn't want to reach out to my friend that I hadn't spoke to in a month. It had been a month. So he reached out. I did not respond the last time he reached out. He called me. I did not answer, and I did not call back because I felt like I had said what I needed to say, and I didn't want to risk my current partner having any concerns about my connection with this person or my communication with this person. Like, I really just want to be respectful and do things the right way in this relationship. Because I think that's important, and because I value this relationship, I value my partner, etc. So when he says that I need the deal, I'm like, well, I'm probably just not getting the car. Because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to reach out to my friend that I hadn't spoke with in a month, that I basically said, hey, I don't think this friendship is appropriate, really enjoy getting to know you, etc. To then come out of the back end and be like, hey, by the way, can I still get that discount? Like, I don't want to be that person. Nobody wants to be that. Well, some people don't care. I care. Like, I don't want anyone to think that I am an opportunist, or I'm someone that's just seeking what I can get out of people, because people are not disposable to me. I mean, some of them are, but good people that I value, that I appreciate their friendships, they're not disposable to me. And I never want to feel like any of my friends feel like they're disposable to me, or I am just using them for what they can get me or give me, versus appreciating who they are as people and their individuality. So I call the dealership guy and I'm like, you know, I asked him about and I said, you know, I'm not going to say his name. But I said, you know, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a minute. And then he's like, well, I don't know what your relationship was with him, but, you know, he's really good friends with, we'll just say Jerry. So you could just ask him, like, you know, are you going to still be able to? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to do that, you know, because I don't want to be this person that's just reaching out to ask for something after I set some type of boundary in the connection. So, you know, I called my mom because my mom is like, she counsels me on a lot of things. And I said, you know, this is a situation. And then she's like, just reach out. If he doesn't answer, if he says no, then that's that. Like sometimes, you know, we have to have difficult conversations, and that's part of being an adult. That's part of growing up. And I'm going to start wrapping this up because I know it's a long video. So turns out the dealership, long story short, dealership guy goes to Jerry, manager of the dealership, and says, yo, I'm working with Karen. She's trying to get this car. So-and-so said that she could use the thing. Can you reach out to so-and-so and ask if she can get it? Unbeknownst to me that he did that. So I go over here. I text my friend, right? It's awkward for me to even reach out because it's been a month since I spoke with him and I never called him back the last time he called me. Basically ghosted, essentially. And I say, hey, how are you? I respond to something that he had asked me previously. And then I also let him know, like, by the way, I'm getting this car, super excited, kind of nervous about going EV. And then he says, do you need the discount or do you need the membership plan? So I didn't know he had already spoke with Jerry, but I'm assuming Jerry got to him before I did, right? Which is fine. And I said, you know, that'd be great if it's still an option, if it's still on the table. And then he calls me. I'm at the office yesterday. I was working late. And then I said, you know, I'll call you when I leave the office. Well, long story short, my friend and I, we had a very, very, very good conversation, right? It was a very raw, direct, and honest conversation about where our friendship left off, why I did things the way I did. I apologized for not handling the situation the best way that I could. I shared that I wasn't certain where we stood in terms of our relationship and that I didn't want to be disrespectful to my partner connection. That person was understanding, but that person also set boundaries and they said, listen, like, I don't like burning bridges. And if we're going to stay friends, like, then I expect you essentially to be a good friend, right? To communicate like a good friend, not someone that goes ghost or someone that isn't responsive or very wish-washy, because a good friend is not like that. And we all know that. So it was a long conversation, maybe like a 40-minute conversation. And I appreciate him so much for like holding me accountable. I love when people call me out on my shit because I want to be held accountable. I want you to hold me to the fire when I need to be in the fire, and I want to grow and improve as a person. I think that's one of the most important things that we are meant to do in this life, if nothing else. At least we should grow and improve as people. We should become better people. We should learn from our mistakes. We should not repeat them as best as possible. And we should apologize when we know we need to apologize. So fast forward, I'm getting the car. My friend is willing to still provide the information. Our friendship is restored. I don't feel this like weird looming energy of something that I did not address. I carried and not carried, like I didn't carry the conversation myself, but it's like I went through with having a very difficult conversation, something that some could perceive as awkward, something that people would typically avoid. So I say all that to say, even the smaller or less obvious things that you think may not come back up again, when they're not properly resolved, they're going to come back up. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. As minute as something is, it is going to come back up. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that my friendship with this person is minute. What I'm saying is this small action that I thought, or this lack of action, so the inaction of me in this connection, I thought, yes, could I have handled it better? Sure. But I didn't think it would come back again where it's like God is saying, no, you need to handle this the right way. You need to have the conversation that you should have been mature enough and adult enough to have. a couple weeks back. You know what I mean? And the last thing that I'll say is, when I mention like small situations or situations that don't seem as obvious to come back, think about incremental change that happens incrementally in like small bits, right? Think about water and how it can erode different surfaces. Like a single drop that falls on a super hard surface, let's say, I can't think of super hard surfaces, concrete. If a single drop falls on concrete constantly over time, it can erode that surface. It can change the composition of that surface. Part of the concrete breaks, and now you have pebbles and pieces of concrete versus a solid surface. Now it is not as strong, it's not as durable, it is weaker, it is losing its essence, it's losing its pieces. And any situation that you haven't addressed, it has the potential to erode and deteriorate in that way just as equally, right? So that's why it's important to try to hold ourselves accountable and stick to whatever it is that we commit to ourselves, to be honest. And it's okay if we fuck up sometimes. We're all gonna fuck up. But it's important when we fuck up to come back to it and say, hey, you know what? Like, shit, I should have done that shit better. Let me fix that shit now. Or let me try to do something about it now, versus just saying, well, I'll get to it when I can, or keep putting off. It's easy. It's super duper easy to put things off, and we know that. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to procrastinate, to find other things to substitute our time. But it's not okay, because it's a dangerous, slippery slope, and it can be costly in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long, but let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.